Good evening. My name is Johnathan Beck. I'll be your MC this evening. At this time, I'd like to call upon Rabbi Hack of the Kollel to lead us in a kapitel Tehillim.
Shir lamaloi sesoinai el heharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adoinoi oisei shamayim v'aretz. Al yitein lamoit raglecha al yonum shoymirecha. Hinei lo yonum v'lo yishon shoymer Yisrael. Adonai shoymirecha, Adonai tzilicha al yad yeminecha. Yoimam hashemesh lo yayakeka v'yoreyach baloila. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmar es nafshecha. Adonai yishmar teisecha uvayecha me'ata v'yad olam.
Shus, Rabbi Gradon, Rosh Kollel, Rabbi Danishevsky, Rosh Chabura, Rabbi Adler, all Rabbanim. Welcome to the Merkaz Hatorah Community Kollel Annual Dinner. It's an amazing turnout tonight, which I think is both a testament to the support of the Kollel and also the appreciation that we all have for Mr. and Mrs. Henry Manoucheri, our outstanding honorees. About 8 years ago, my family and I moved from Providence, Rhode Island to Los Angeles. Merkaz Hatorah Kollel has played an instrumental role in our transition to the big city and has been the spiritual backbone of our family. Like many businessmen and professionals, I have a demanding schedule trying to balance my work needs, my family life. But I'm beyond fortunate to begin every day learning in the Kollel with Rabbi Ari Adler, a true tzaddik, a posek, and Talmud Chacham. For the past 6 years, Rabbi Adler and I have been learning topics, sugyas in Choshen Mishpat, the part of Jewish law dealing with complex business law and Jewish ethics. Our daily study is not only in and of itself an exhilarating experience, but has impacted my moral compass and has created an ethical sensitivity for the rest of my business day. The Kollel is really a unique organization within the fabric of a Jewish community. There's really no natural path that takes a person to a Kollel. It's not a shul that we daven in on a regular basis. It's not a school that educates our children. And it's not something that will automatically grab our attention. Participation in the Kollel requires a decision. It requires an understanding of what the Kollel is. Whether that participation is in the form of a weekly chavrusa, a weekly study partner, a daily study partner, or financial support, those involved in the Kollel understand the importance of a Kollel and the role a Kollel plays in our community. A warm, welcoming environment where all members of the community are invited to engage in serious Torah learning and spiritual growth. The rabbis of the Kollel, the Avreichim, have also made a decision. They have decided to leave large yeshiva communities to come to Los Angeles and strengthen our community. They have a rigorous schedule, spending mornings and afternoons advancing their own learning, and are available in the evening to learn with various members of the community. Many of the Kollel graduates have remained in Los Angeles, taking jobs in Rabbanus, Chesed, education, and business, furthering the impact and enhancing all of our lives in the community. But it all started with a decision that leaving a comfortable environment for themselves to come and be mechazik us. But it was an active decision. Walking into the Kollel at night is electrifying. The energy, the excitement that exists is palpable. People come to life and truly feel the words of the Torah, Va'atem hadveikim b'Hashem chayim kolchem hayom. Those that connect to Hashem feel alive. Walk into the Kollel. I normally learn in the Kollel in the morning. But if you come to the Kollel at night, you see fathers learning with sons, Rebbeim learning with students, friends learning with each other. It's loud, it's exciting. When I learn in the morning, I could hear my chavrusa talk pretty easily. When I come to the kollel and I learn at night, I have to shout, my chavrusa has to shout, my study partner has to shout. The energy is so loud, it's so exciting that it's hard to even hear the person that you're sitting next to. But again, the people that come, it's all because they've made a decision that learning Torah, Torah study is a very important part of their life. What has been the outcome of people that have made a decision to participate in one way or another in the kollel? My humble answer to that question is simcha, is happiness. This past week, I had the fortune of attending the Siyam Hashas in MetLife Stadium with my son. Approximately 100,000 people gathered to celebrate the completion of studying the entire Talmud. Some attendees finished all of Shas, all of the entire Talmud. Some completed parts of the Talmud. And some contributed the financial support to make all the various learning programs possible. But the most powerful, at least to me, the most powerful emotion of the day was that of simcha. It was happiness. For those who gave the support, those who finished, and those who did not, they were celebrating the culmination of a decision that learning Torah is an integral part of our lives. The outcome, the dancing, the singing, pure, unadulterated simcha and happiness. Recently, the Kollel has finished a Yarchei Kala program, a program at the end of December where participants take off a week of work and decide to dedicate themselves to half a day of learning in the Kollel, studying with a partner, listening to classes and shiurim. At the end of December, the natural path of life for many people is to go on vacation. Coming to learn in the Kollel requires a decision. Giving up work, giving up vacation requires a decision. But again, people that participate in the Kollel, it's not natural. It's not something that comes normally to most people. But it's something that people have thought about, understand the importance, and have made an active decision to, in one way or another, participate in the Kollel. Again, at the Yarchei Kala, an amazing turnout, people dedicated, people happy. As Rabbi Gradon always points out, when you look around the Kollel, what do you see? You see intensity. You see people that are committing to Torah study. But more than anything, you see smile on people's faces. Smiles and enjoyment and happiness for making a decision of what's important in life. So tonight is about celebrating the Kollel. It's about celebrating the Kollel's achievements, its supporters, its honorees, its rabbis and participants. But tonight is also about celebrating decisions and the impact positive decisions have on our lives, as Rabbi Gradon will elaborate further on during his address. Thank you all for coming and enjoy your dinner. Many of us are familiar and know the various programs the Kollel conducts throughout the community. Private study sessions, classes, Rabbi Gradon, other Kollel rabbis, men, women. I think what's somewhat less obvious of a role that the Kollel plays is that it's really a Torah center for other programs in the community as well. Whether it's the Teachers on Fire program that was started by Jackie Siegel and Rabbi Danishevsky, which gives teachers in the community an opportunity to invigorate themselves in their own ruchnius and their own Torah study at night, or Torah classes by Rabbi Kaysen, part of other institutions, partnering with local schools, parents, and teachers. Merkaz Hatorah, as we say, Kishmo Kein Hu, as its name it is, has really become a center not only for the unbelievable amount of programs that it does on its own, but it has become an anchor for learning among many groups in the entire community. The Rebbeim of the Kollel themselves as well have scattered and spread out and had an amazing impact on the community. As I mentioned earlier, some of the Kollel Avreichim, some of the Kollel rabbis, many of them have stayed in Los Angeles, taking roles in various positions, some in education, some in chesed, some in business. But they have all, the ones that have stayed, in one way or another, have continued to make a tremendous impact and enhance our community at large. With all the different dynamics of the Kollel, it's obvious that it doesn't happen on its own. and it happens under the amazing leadership of Rabbi Gradon. Rabbi Gradon's Ahavas Yisrael, his love of his fellow Jews, his Ahavas Hatorah, his love of learning Torah and teaching Torah, is really what brings the Kollel and the entire community together. When I learned in Ner Yisrael in Baltimore, they used to say about Rabbi Herman Neuberger, a famous askin in the Jewish community, that he doesn't work for Ner Yisrael, but he works for Klal Yisrael. He doesn't only work for Ner Yisrael itself, but he really works for Klal Yisrael at large. Rabbi Gradon is certainly the same way. I'm fortunate enough to witness Rabbi Gradon on a daily basis. His days start very early in the morning with a Amud Yomi Shir, go late at night to learning with many people in the community, giving classes, shiurim, one-on-one groups, and he's constantly dedicated and devoted to all of us. His phone doesn't stop ringing, and he doesn't stop answering. As a matter of fact, I was recently talking to a relative of mine in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem. He lives in a neighborhood that is about 14 rabbanim per 10 people. Nonetheless, he had a major communal issue, and he told me that he spent 45 minutes on the phone discussing it with Rabbi Gradon, as if there was nobody else around that could have helped him. Another occasion, I was fortunate to have a very special person at my Shabbos table. Rabbi Gradon might not remember this, but it was a local Baal Tshuva who's describing to me his journey about becoming more observant. He said to me that when he first got started, he was very into spirituality, he was very into mysticism and Kabbalah, and Rabbi Kellerman from Israel came to Los Angeles to give a talk. And this budding Baal Tshuva decides to walk up to Rabbi Kellerman, very famous lecturer and writer, and he said to him, I want spirituality, I want mysticism, I want to grow, I want to be better. So Rabbi Kellerman, this was in Los Angeles, says to him, I have the name of the perfect mystic for you. The person that will truly enhance your spirituality. And this gentleman says, please tell me his name. I'm going to write it down. Please tell me, what is his name? He says, his name is Rabbi Gradon. It's spelled like radon, but Gradon. Write it down. And the gentleman told me he wrote down the name very carefully. And I think what Rabbi Kellerman's message was very clear. Those who want true spirituality and really want to connect to Yiddishkeit, it's about learning. It's about serious learning, serious Torah learning, which is what the Kollel is really all about. So, on behalf of all of us, I think I'd like to introduce Rabbi Gradon and wish Rabbi Gradon and Mrs. Gradon a mazel tov and show them our appreciation and our debt of gratitude that we all have to them.
Thank you, Johnathan. Very overwhelmed by the turnout tonight. Clearly the honorees, Henry and Mrs. Lisa Manoucheri, have inspired people to come. But also it's exciting to see people who come to join us on a regular basis to learn. Have made a special effort to attend tonight to bring us chizuk and energy and strength. And all of your participation makes a big difference to us. Thank you to everybody for coming. I have to spend the first few minutes thanking the people who've made everything possible. It might be a little bit a repetition from previous years, but it's only the people who are committed and who continue relentlessly their support that keep the institution going. First and foremost, it's the Avrechim, the rabbis of the Kollel, and their wives. We'd have in Shachris in the morning at 6:30. We'd have a Ma'ariv at night at 9:45. So you have to leave your house by 6:15 in the morning, and you won't come home basically till after 10 at night. You are home a couple of times during the day, but thank God with growing and developing families, the responsibilities that use up all that spare time. So basically we have people who are working from before dawn to well after dusk, to learn, to teach, to help, to counsel, to give shiurim, to be with people, and they should be appreciated and recognized. Rabbi Danishevsky, towering Talmud Chacham in our community, who is in charge of running our Beis Medrash as a very sagacious, learned, profound, competent individual who has kept the Beis Medrash going for over 12 years now in an incomparable manner. Two women who see throughout the year that the Kollel should be functional. That's Mrs. Marilyn Rich and Mrs. Leslie Kleiman. And they are joined for the dinner by Mrs. Tali Merowitz and Ilana Bistritzstein, without whom we couldn't be here tonight. I wanted to make special mention of one other person, particularly tonight, but really maybe every year. It's a private person. Maybe she's going to be surprised that I mention her, but if I mention her, that means it's sincere and it's profound. Some of you are aware, we've been fortunate, partly with the guidance of Mr. Henry Manoucheri, to acquire a property on Pico Boulevard, the Chase Bank, that should become the home of the Kollel. This required a lot of technical work and support throughout the year in dealing with Mr. Manoucheri, and he leans largely on this person, and we're very close with her. I'd like to thank Shoshana Brickman. For her great friendship to the Kollel that's very meaningful to us, and for her help in the acquisition of the building. We have, as many of you know, an outstanding ladies program. There are many places in the country where there are shiurim for women. There are many places in Los Angeles that provide shiurim for women. Our program, under the leadership of Mrs. Sarah Gertel, is unique because she devotes so much time in ensuring that the shiurim and the lessons provided should be the ones that are necessary for the people, that can help the people, that can assist them in their growth and their development in Yiddishkeit. And we're very, very grateful to her, and we're very proud of her program. Just before I begin my remarks, I would be remiss if I wouldn't do two other things. There's a small group of men who are not officially connected, but are constantly like my brothers, with whom we're in day-to-day contact, of whom we rely. That's Mr. Michael Horowitz, Mr. Jeff Winter, Mr. Yossi Essas, Mr. Henry Manoucheri, and Mr. Reuven Gradon. There are many other people who are extending themselves to be helpful to us. I can't mention everybody, but I will tell you that what we're most proud of in our Kollel is that everybody seems to somehow feel a sense of cohesive effort to accomplish as much as we can for our community and for Klal Yisrael. I wanted to share with you a beautiful Dvar Torah that is my way of honoring Mr. and Mrs. Manoucheri tonight. It's a profound thought that I heard from Rav Beryl Wine Shlita on a tape, and it's something that made a deep impact on me. You know, Moshe Rabbeinu is known to us as Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe our leader. Many of you are probably aware that in the Midrash it says Moshe Rabbeinu had 10 names. For example, the Gemara in Masechta Megillah Daf Yud Gimel says the following. Yered ze Moshe. There was a name Yered which also was given to Moshe Rabbeinu. Velama nikra shmo Yered. What sort of a name is that? Sheyorad lahem liYisrael mon b'yomov. That in his merit, manna fell to the Jews in the desert. So he was given a name Yered. Another name, Gradon, Shegodar Pirtosein Shel Yisrael. He saw wherever he saw something wasn't quite in order, he looked for ways for improving the situation and making sure that there would be no errors made in the structure of society that could cause problems. So he got the name Gradon. Chover, Shechiver is Yisrael Avin Shebashamayim. We had the name Chover because he connected the Jewish people to the Almighty. Al Kapanim, all these names are reflections of accomplishments of Moshe Rabbeinu expressed in a name. But the name Moshe is not an accomplishment of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe was called Moshe, Kimin Amayim Mishisihu, the daughter of Pharaoh, Batya, Bas Paro. When she saved Moshe from the Nile and picked him out, she said, this person is a miracle person. I've picked him out of the water and I will give him a name that will connote the fact that he's a miracle. But that's no reflection of Moshe Rabbeinu, it's a reflection on her. She sacrificed herself, her father, wildly opposed to the Jewish people, throwing kids into the Nile, putting kids into brick walls. He could have killed her. So she made a sacrifice in order to save this child and protected him. Then he has this unusual life. The one Jew who Pharaoh should be frightened of is being raised in the house of Paro. And the name that is given is Moshe, and the name sticks. And Mefarshim grapple with this issue. Why does Moshe for all ages become Moshe Rabbeinu as opposed to Avigdor, Chover, Yered, or one of the other names, which would reflect his accomplishments? In the Torah, when Moshe Rabbeinu came to the desert, and he then saw the burning bush, this is what the verse says. The verse says, Vayome Moshe, Moshe thought and said, Asura no ve'eres hamare hagodol hazeh. I've got to take time, stop what I'm doing, walk across to this bush, and find out and examine, Madua lo yivar hasneh. Why is the snare not being consumed? Vayar Hashem kisal liros. HaKadosh Baruch Hu observed that Moshe took out his time to go and see this phenomenon. Vayikra elav Elokim mitoch hasneh. And from within the burning bush, the Almighty calls out and says, Moshe, Moshe. HaKadosh Baruch Hu refers to Moshe Rabbeinu as Moshe, and he repeats the word, Moshe, Moshe. And Moshe says, Hineni. And then begins a long dialogue between Moshe and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Almighty wants to appoint Moshe to be the leader of the people, the Messiah, to go to Egypt and to ensure the Exodus. And he's putting this obligation on Moshe. And Moshe, in his humility, in his great and profound sense of being a private person who wants to serve Hashem out of the limelight, who has an older brother, Aaron, who maybe will be offended if Moshe takes the position. Moshe is begging and pleading with Hashem, someone else should get the job. Until finally, at the end of the dialogue, many verses later, Hashem gets upset. There's a charonaf, there's an anger from Hashem. So Rabbi Wine said the following, absolutely masterful, beautiful. Do you know why Hashem was angry? Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, hello, do you know your name is Moshe? Do you know that you were pulled out of the Nile miraculously? You should have drowned in the Nile. Or somebody vindictive should have found you and drowned you in the Nile. Or when you came to Pharaoh's house, who knows what could have happened to you as a Jewish child? Do you not notice that you were handpicked to become something? Do you think I'm asking and addressing you out of nowhere? Or do you realize, Moshe, Moshe, of all your names, Moshe means you have a responsibility. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has saved you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has picked you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has said to you, you are someone unique. When the challenge and the opportunity to do something incredible and unique comes, that's what you were made for. That's what you were saved for. How can you possibly refuse? And Rabbi said the following. He said that in 1947, the chief rabbi of what was then Palestine, Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Herzog, came to Chicago. He said he came off the plane. Rabbi Wein was not yet bar mitzvah at the time. His father took him to the airport. It's the first time he ever went to an airport. And they went to the airport with all the rabbis of Chicago to greet Rabbi Herzog. And he came off the plane, English style, with a top hat. That's the way the chief rabbi walks in England. Flowing silver beard, a cane, and in the other hand a Tanakh. And he walked down from the plane, and it was just a maranoira. And directly from the airport, they went to Skokie Yeshiva. And in Skokie Yeshiva, all the rabbonim of the city sat, and 250 young men from the yeshiva were also present. And the Rav Aroshi, the chief rabbi, gave a shiur immediately in Yiddish, in a hard Talmudic subject, Ein Shliach L'Dvar Avera, from the first parak of Bava Metzia. And he gave a shiur, and everybody listened, listening to the brilliance of this man. And then he stopped. And I said, I want to speak in English to address the young people who are here tonight, this morning. The young people being the yeshiva students. And he said to them the following, listen carefully. I hope I'll get it through it without difficulty. He said, I've come from Rome in Italy. And I had an audience with the Pope, Pius XII, a man who certainly wasn't pious, but was called Pope Pius. And I went to him with a list. This is Rabbi Herzog speaking. I went to him with a list of 10,000 Jewish children whose names we know, who were deposited in Catholic institutions during the war to save their lives. And I came to ask him to return the neshamas to Klal Yisrael. Give back their neshamas. And he said to me in his piety, they've been baptized and they are fully fledged Catholics and I cannot return them. At which point, Rabbi Herzog broke down and wept. Rabbi Wein says, I've never seen a person cry like that in my life. He cried over 10,000 children. Then he cried over 1.2 million children that died in the Holocaust. And then he cried over the Holocaust. And then he cried over all 2,000 years of the exile. He said the whole Beis HaMedrash was a sea of tears. And then he turned around when he finished. And he stood erect. And he said to the young men of the yeshiva, you were saved. I can't help even the 10,000 children who are held captive by the Catholics. But you are 250 children who are here. What are you going to do for the Jewish people? What are you going to take on and accomplish on behalf of our people? And Rabbi Wein said that as the 250 young men marched past Rabbi Herzog to receive a bracha after his speech, he shook the hand of every boy and he said to him, I hope you remember what I said. You should do something for the Jewish people. Rabbi Wein says about himself, it's over 70 years since I heard that speech. It still rings in my ear. Every time I feel too lazy to do something, Rabbi Herzog is talking to me. Every time I think a challenge maybe is not for me, Rabbi Herzog is talking again. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Manoucheri, Henry, came from Iran. He wasn't born in Los Angeles. Came with his parents, was educated here. And then, through different circumstances that are unimportant, he met Rabbonim, met people who influenced his way of thinking. And as Johnathan Beck said before, life is about making good decisions. We're responsible for our decisions. He made decisions as to how he should lead his life, and what sort of a person to choose as a wife, and what qualities she needs, and what sort of a home are we going to build, and what sort of a family do we want to create, and what do we want to do if we amass wealth? What are we going to do if we find that we're able to do things that other people aren't going to do? We're going to say, I'm terribly sorry, I'm still building my asset base? Or am I going to say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed me obviously with a purpose? Among the Persian community, there aren't that many people who are able to say that they represent what Henry Manoucheri represents. Unfortunately, at least not yet. Mirza Hashem will have more hatzlacha. But it's a small crowd of people who heard the message. But Mr. Henry and Mrs. Lisa Manoucheri heard the message. And through this, and despite great difficulties that there are in all life circumstances, They've succeeded in building a Torah family. And they've succeeded in having sons-in-law in the yeshiva, sons in the business with integrity, children in Moses learning Torah. And Henry himself has become close to many Gedolei Torah, including Hagaon HaTzadik, Rav Yaakov Moshe Hillel, from the greatest Talmidei Chachamim we have in Yerushalayim, with whom Henry is friendly. This is the bracha that has come to his house because he realized, Henry, I'm talking about you, not somebody else. When I point to my finger, I mean you. And that's why we're honoring him tonight. Yes, the Manoucheri family has been from the principal donors to our institution from the beginning, and that itself would deserve a kavod tonight. But the deeper reason why Mechabed is I want everybody here to know that if you're blessed and you have the opportunity and you see something needs to be done, remember your name is Moshe. Don't think your name is something else. Because everybody in this room was chosen, everybody here, everyone has their own story. And everybody is chosen to accomplish something unique. We make sure that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends us that opportunity that we grab it. At this point, I would like to turn our attention to the video, to a short presentation in honor of the Manoucheri family. Philanthropy for us, the Jewish people, is the opportunity to emulate the Almighty by reaching out to others with the resources that we have available.
As I grew up and watching my father and my grandfathers, when people approached them for giving money to a charitable cause, there was such joy and such a smile, and they felt the other person's pain, and their actions really resonated with me, and as a result of that, they stayed with me. They made a huge impression on my soul. As I became more observant in my younger years, what our rabbis taught us is that the support of Torah really takes priority, and that's the way to impact the world for the better. It impacts everyone in the world.
Henry's become acquainted with a huge variety of scholars and Rosh Yeshiva throughout the world through his philanthropy. This has had a very deep impact upon him.
Instilling these very traditional sound Torah values, completely pure, completely undiluted, it could make a significant difference in people's lives. Lisa is always on my side, and when it comes to giving, she always wants to do more. I think as we've done more, we've gotten more back. And that's what makes it, easier to really grow.
I think that the philanthropy is very organic. As he donates, he sees the impact, he feels the progress, he becomes inspired, he donates more and gets more involved. It's very real.
What I admire most about my parents is their dedication to the Jewish community, to pretty much everyone they come across in contact with, to our family as a whole, and most importantly, their dedication to each other as a couple.
As my parents became more and more involved in the community, I believe what they saw in it is truth and Torah, and the balance in life between materialism and spirituality. And for that reason, they continue to be involved and to give back to the community.
My father-in-law, when I get to spend time with him in Eretz Yisrael, you really see that he wants more. He wants to give more. He wants other people to give more. He wants us to be involved. And it really, really sets a standard in the family that we are a Torah family.
Lisa and I have formed a very strong bond with our Gradon.
There's sort of this interesting balance of a friendship and awe and respect, both of his Torah knowledge and both of his worldly knowledge.
I first met Rabbi Gradon about 25, 26 years ago. We had first moved to Beverly Hills. The manner in which he carries himself, with the wonderful British accent, he's such a great orator. He's so solid of his thoughts, and I said, this is my man. This is the man.
I sensed Henry's pursuit of truth and his desire to grow, and I realized this would be the beginning of an important relationship.
I remember at the beginning of the Kollel, there was just a few Avreichim, a few people committed to learning, and just the very core of what the Kollel would become today.
The quality of the Avreichim, their ability to communicate and teach the people they're studying with, the warm and exciting atmosphere in the Beis HaMedrash has contributed a tremendous amount to the community.
Like a seed that grows into something great, we've been able to grow a beautiful institution that's had a tremendous impact on all of us.
As a result of attending a lot of classes that Rabbi Gradon has given and build that tremendous relationship with God, that's enabled me to be a better father, enabled to be a better husband, enabled me to be a better teacher and be a better employer. The Kollel has been extremely gratifying and it's had tremendous rewards. And I'm very excited that we're going to have a crown jewel of a building.
The new building will be a whole new vista. It's a whole new panorama, a whole new way to service the community, and our ability to be effective will grow exponentially.
And I think this is something, because of the location and because of the accessibility and the training and education that the Kollel will provide, it will attract a lot of young people. I really am excited and I look forward to that.
I'm beyond grateful for the way my parents have raised us. I hope to mirror who they are and what they've done, both with my family and the community. Thank you, Abba, and thank you, Mom, for your unconditional bond between us and this community. I love you.
I always have the memory of my parents being involved with some sort of cause, and they really showed me the importance of giving back to the community, and that's something that I take with me today.
I think Henry and Lisa are touching every single part of our community. If you look at the shul, the kollel, the kiruv programs, the schools, it's hard to imagine the city of Los Angeles being anything like it is today without the Manoucheris.
Henry and Mrs. Lisa Manoucheri have been people who I always could turn to at any time. The door was always open. We always knew that we would have the listening ear, the soft heart, and a contribution that would make a difference. I brought up 3 people to help me hold the cup. Some of this meant to be an inscription. Okay. In honor of our very dear friends, Mr. and Mrs. Henry and Lisa Manoucheri, in recognition of your outstanding loyalty and devotion to the Kollel, Yehi Ratzayin shemin hashamayim tizbaruchu b'chol milid meitav. Please God, you will be blessed from the heavens with all types of bracha. V'li yos min hanoisnim, to be among those who can always give philanthropically, letzarchei Klal Yisrael, for the needs of the Klal Yisrael. Rabbi Boruch, the Gradon Merkaz Hatorah Community Kollel Annual Dinner, 8th January 2020, Yud Beis Teves, Tafshin Pei. My wife to make a presentation to Mrs. Manoucheri, please.
Good evening, this is like an amazing dream. I just hope it's real. It probably is real, right, Gradon? So, before I begin my remarks, a few thank yous. Today was a day full of very pleasant surprises. First and foremost, my dear Tova and Shlomi, who flew in and planted themselves in my office with Lisa this afternoon at 4 o'clock. I had no idea they were coming here from Yerushalayim. Thank you so much for the pleasant surprise. Secondly, to dear Mechutanim, who are so close to us, it's a bracha min hashamayim to know the clients, David and Penina. David, thank you so much for flying in today from New York. And thirdly, to our other Mechutanim from St. John's Wood, London, Mrs. Nejad, who flew here as well from London to be here tonight. It's a tremendous national and global gathering of people to give a Kavod HaTorah. About 2 years ago, I was walking back on Rosh Hashanah from our minyan on Pico that we have as a Kiruv minyan for the past 26 years. And a friend, as we were walking by the Chase building on Pico and Doheny, mentioned that, you know, this building is going to be for sale. And there's a lot of people after it. I took a look at the property. I said, good luck. You know, so many people are going to want this building. And it's sort of stuck in my head. I'm like, okay, it's probably gone. You know, so many bids, etc. It's a hot real estate market. And it seemed at best a remote possibility to go after something that was so highly sought after. In our business, we pursue dreams. And we do it based on a bold vision. And many times we make courageous bets relying on one thing, our instincts. In real estate terms, the Merkaz Hatorah Kollel, under the leadership of Rabbi Gradon, was like investing in a core plus opportunity, which usually has low returns but safety. But this one had high values and had really high returns, thereby making it a very, very unusual investment. An institution that I projected would produce high returns and be run by a seasoned Rosh Kollel and passionate, supporting, loving friends seemed like an absolute winning bet. It was indeed a game changer. Such a worthy institution with a solid track record, in my opinion, requires a platinum location in a world-class building. That was the vision. My gut told me that this was the right move. And against all odds, against many people who thought that this would not work, I proceeded with the vision and I decided to pursue this collective dream. We need everyone here in this room today to build a landmark building, and there's going to be many dedication opportunities. We made a bold move against all odds, 48 offers on this property. And we won the deal with the best terms and the lowest price. Now, is that crazy? Is that unusual? That's not how you make deals. It's against every deal-making rules in a book. And our Torah scholars, whom the community, families have adopted, do not have to spend another 12 years in a low-key space with no windows to the outside world. The new Merkaz Hatorah building, Mitzvah Hashem, will be a centerpiece of Torah ingenuity and a gathering place to instill and preserve our most treasured Jewish values: learning, progress, and a constant quest, an unending quest to improve ourselves. Many rabbis and community leaders can learn from Rabbi Gradon and my good friend Mikey Horowitz as to how to love and truly care for the community. They are strong masters in their game, and they know how to be artists in transforming lives and preserving relationships. Relationships matter. Please remember that. For the past 9 years, Mikey Horowitz, Yossi Esas, Zev Weinstein, Yoni Barzide, my good friend Aryeh Goldberg, and one occasion Philip Cohen, we've traveled together to Eretz Israel when things were just not right. It was the wrong time to go away. There was this transaction and this deal and that deal. Yet every year we broke away. And I can tell you, under Rabbi Gradon's guidance, we experienced many, many miracles. My deepest gratitude and thanks to Hashem, to my precious wife Lisa, with her tremendous wisdom, to all my sons, all the daughters, the son-in-laws, the daughter-in-laws, and sweet grandchildren, Ken Yirbu, for your unconditional love and support in helping to change the turbulent world we live in and helping to transform Los Angeles as a world-class location for improvement and greatness and the study of Torah. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and thank you very much for all of you who showed your support being here tonight.
We will now bench and follow immediately by Ma'ariv and the dessert table. Benching will be led by Shlomi Mosbacher, Mr. Manoucheri's son-in-law.